I'm making a 90s inspired multiplayer arena shooter in Unity in just 3 weeks, and this is the first devlog detailing that journey. Before I get into the game though, let's address the elephant in the room. Why am I only taking 3 weeks to make this game? It all started at the beginning of the year when I presented a Mad Max inspired racing shooting game to my university.
How many of you guys like Fortnite?
And ever since then, the idea has stuck with me as something I really want to pursue. But I want to make this game right, so I decided to put off working on the game for a couple years and hone my game dev skills, especially in the area of multiplayer. Since I've never made a multiplayer game before, I figured it would be a good idea to make something simple, something I was already familiar with. Most of the games I work on are boomer shooters in the vein of Quake, Doom, etc. And I've noticed a severe gap in retro-inspired arena shooters in the free-to-play multiplayer game market, so I figured this was a niche I could try to fill. That's when I learned about a collaboration that was going on between my university's game development club and its esports club. This would be a great opportunity to get people to play this game, I thought. Let me just see when I need to get this game done by. Oh my gosh! So as it turns out, the club was deciding on the games to include in the event on the 15th and need a quality build of the game by the 22nd, which by the time I started working on this project was only about 3 weeks away. So I put my head down, didn't do any of my homework, and started working on the game. Let's take a look at what I've accomplished so far. Okay, so the premise of this game is pretty simple. Provide the best quality arena shooter experience at the lowest possible price. Free. You'd boot the game up, customize your character, pick your game mode, pick your map, host a game, and then invite your friends or play with randoms from all around the world. Let's quickly take a look at the mechanics of the game. There are 3 main pieces of tech I'm including to spice the game up. The first is unnormalized movement. Basically, I've intentionally made it so that moving diagonally is faster than moving in a straight line. The way this works is very simple. It's just the natural result of adding together the player's horizontal and vertical movement vectors and not normalizing the result. The reason I've done this is to simulate the satisfying movement rhythm you get in Quake and Source Engine games from the next bit of tech I'm including, bunny hopping. When holding space, your character will automatically jump off of the ground as soon as they land. Every time this happens, your max speed will increase up to a certain limit. When combined with diagonal strafing, you're able to move incredibly quickly and reach a lot of areas you wouldn't be able to otherwise. Both of these mechanics are heavily simplified versions of tech that exist in other games due to bugs in the original Quake engine. The reason I'm simplifying these mechanics so heavily is to make the game more accessible. I want to evoke the feeling of strafe hopping in those games without forcing players to rebind jump to their scroll wheel. I want skill expression in my game to come from good aim, weapon usage, and map knowledge, not hours and hours of practicing movement tech in empty lobbies. The final bit of tech I've included so far is quick switching. This is a mechanic that was popularized by Doom Eternal and can also be found in Ultra Kill. Basically, switching weapons in my game cancels the firing animation of whatever weapon you're using and allows you to fire your next weapon almost instantaneously. When used with slow-firing weapons like the combat shotgun and hunting rifle, quick switching allows you to greatly increase your DPS but requires decent timing. As far as the weapons go, I've included 3 weapons so far: the combat shotgun, machine pistol, and hunting rifle. The combat shotgun is a starting weapon and fires a tight spread of 9 pellets. It deals decent damage, but hitting all 9 pellets is difficult, making it best suited for medium-range gunfights. The machine pistol rapidly fires low-damage bullets with a reasonable amount of spread, making it very easy to use, but low DPS compared to other harder-to-use options. The hunting rifle fires a single high-damage bullet with a long cooldown, which can be mitigated by switching to another weapon. The hunting rifle is perfectly accurate at any range, making it a good option for long-distance shots. All of the weapons so far are hit scan in order to make the game feel responsive and snappy, but these 3 are just the start, and I plan to have at least 8 weapons in the game before the eventual public release. I also added the first map to the game this week. It's pretty basic, open map with a semi-symmetrical layout so it can be used in both free-for-all and team-based game modes. The whole thing centers around a windmill in the middle, which offers a powerful high ground position with the best items near it. The map features a number of jump pads, which can be used to get on top of these barns, or these bits of hay, or if you're skilled enough, the top of the windmill. I tried to keep the map from feeling too generic or boring, so I set it during sunset and tried to include a few little details, like leaves falling from the trees and bits of grass everywhere. I think the map looks pretty good so far, but I have concerns that it might be too small or too simple to be fun. So later maps will be more complex and have more interesting routes and positions. Let me quickly show you the multiplayer functionality. I'm using a plugin for Unity called Parallel Sync that allows me to run 2 instances of Unity at once to test multiplayer functionality. Now that I have 2 clients connected, I can show you some of the player interaction. Players spawn with a little bit of armor, and hitting a player while they have armor results in a different visual effect and sound. It transitions to a normal hit effect after the armor is depleted. This makes taking out opponents very satisfying in my opinion. Players can also change the primary, secondary, and tertiary colors of their character. I don't have this fully functional yet, and there's no UI to go with it, but I do have the shader fully working. If you're looking at this footage right now and saying this just looks like Dusk, you'd be right. It does look like Dusk, but Dusk is an excellent game. And while its multiplayer is fun, it feels like a tacked on, somewhat incomplete experience to me. And my goal with this project is to do everything Dusk does right, but improve on its fun but weak multiplayer mode. The next steps for this project are going to be working on the main menu and doing extensive testing and bug fixing. It's important to have a solid, functional game before I start adding a lot of content given my short deadline. I also need to have the game performing well on lower-end hardware to ensure there aren't any issues on other machines. My goal is to have functional LAN multiplayer, at least 4 weapons, and hopefully 3 maps by the 22nd for the esports collab. This is a hard deadline, but I'm confident I can meet it thanks to spring break being next week. While I need to get these things done before then, development on this game is not going to stop after that, but it will probably slow down as I focus on school again. After getting the game working, I'm going to start adding Steam integration and getting the game on Steam and out to you guys as soon as possible, with additional content coming after the game's release. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope you'll follow the game as I continue to work on it. I wanted to include more technical details in this devlog, but I had a lot to cover and I didn't want the video to get too long. But future devlogs will likely contain more details about how I implemented things. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.